What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
First things first, could Carson Wentz be on the move as early as today? Super Bowl 55 champ Ronald Jones stops by at 8 o'clock. We got a bunch of things to talk to him about. And why is Russell Wilson becoming increasingly frustrated with the Seattle Seahawks? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Brandon, could Russ really be on the move?
I heard Sierra signed off on it. It's happening. It's happening.
He got the stamp of approval. He got the approval. All right, we will get to all of that. We got to start, though, with Tom Brady. In an article just released by Sports Illustrated, his head coach, Bruce Arians, was quoted from before the Super Bowl, giving us a little insight into what actually motivates his quarterback. It said, among other things, this: Tom is playing for his teammates right now. He wants those guys to experience what he's experienced 6 times. I think personally, too, he's making a statement. You know, it wasn't all Coach Belichick. Name dropping names, Brandon. You buying Arians' comments?
Oh, 100%. Every player has a sense of entitlement. Well, not every player, most players. The great players in the National Football League has this sense of entitlement because you feel your hard work and your dedication and your effort that you put into it every single day is worth something. So when you think about sense of entitlement, you think about guys walking in the locker room and saying, you know what, I want that locker. Even before you even get in the locker, the guys, the top guys, they're saying, this is my parking spot. They walk into the cafeteria. They're like, you know what, chef? I know this isn't on the menu, but every morning at 8:30, have this prepared for me. You have special time slots with the gurus that come in, the chiropractors, the massage therapists, the MAT doctors, the ART doctors, and any dry needling specialists that come in. You have special treatment. So when you think about Tom Brady, you won this organization, or you led this organization to 9 Super Bowls. You won 6, and you pushed me out. So 100% it's going to be motivation for him because of that reason. I'm a guy that never made it to a Super Bowl, and I walked into every organization with a sense of entitlement because of the hard work and dedication that I put in, and they gave me it. So just imagine what Tom Brady's thinking. Look at everything that I've accomplished, Nick. Look at it. That's what he's saying to himself. I should have a statue. I should have a seat at the table as well. Why don't I have as much power that you have, Mr. Bill Belichick? So, yes, 100% is motivation.
And Brandon, you might not have won a Super Bowl, but you led the Jets to within a game of the playoffs, and that's more impressive than at least 2 of Brady's rings. So don't sell yourself short. Like that is a far harder accomplishment in NFL history than 1 or 2 of Brady's Super Bowl rings. Here's the thing for Tom Brady. It's the only chip on his shoulder left. So let him have it. Like, Brady came into the league with the 199th pick chip as a motivating factor. Then, because he instantly won a Super Bowl and a couple years later won another one, that gets removed for all intents and purposes. So what is he chasing then? Peyton Manning. The rivalry with Peyton that we know fueled him. And I feel a little dirty for having this information, but it's out in the public specter. That email he sent his dad at this point almost a decade ago saying, you know, about the rivalry with Peyton, and about how Peyton was already almost done and he had 7 or 8 more years to go. He was still letting that fuel him. Once he clearly dispatched of Peyton and won that rivalry, what was left? Oh, how about the oldest battle in the book? You know, Father Time is undefeated? Maybe he's not. Now I'm battling aging. Now I'm battling how long the athlete can actually keep going. Oh, I broke all those records too? I already won a Super Bowl in my 40s? How about this new, fresh, real motivation? My coach didn't want me anymore. I went hat in hand for an extension. They gave me a fake one. I remember the summer of 19. Brady has the press conference. You're going to have to talk to Mr. Kraft. Then says it is what it is. Gave that famous moment on the field. And the next day put his house for sale. And so he's always, Wilds, had either real or created external motivation. He's beaten Peyton. He made the draft look stupid. He's set all the aging records. So now I do buy it is, okay, now I'm going to prove it was more me than Bill. 100% I believe it.
Yeah. I buy it too. Because here's the thing. But I think it's an outdated grudge. Because the old knock on Brady was that it was the defense. Here's the thing. The defense has always helped the guy. Whether or not that's motivation, that he wants to say that he's more responsible, I'm not sure, because I do think that he's a total team player. But just to run through the amount of how defense has helped him. In his 7 Super Bowl victories, Brandon, he's either had a top-ranked defense or a great Super Bowl performance from that defense. Here they are really quick. Ring number 1, greatest show on turf, Mangini and Belichick shut him down. Ring number 2, league's best defense. Ring number 3, second best defense. Ring number 4, great performance from Malcolm Butler, saves the day, kind of gives him that ring. He was on the sidelines like, oh my God, Malcolm Butler had the interception. Ring number 5 had the number 1 defense. Rings number 6 and 7, Sean McVay and Jared Goff don't score a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid don't score a touchdown. So defense has always been a part of this. Whether or not that motivates him, I don't know. But I think it is a little bit of an old school knock on Tom Brady, where those old Teddy Bruschi teams used to carry the Patriots to the Super Bowl, and Tom would do enough to get us the ring.
Let me ask you a question, Wilds. Would you say that Tom Brady is considered the GOAT? You know, for most of the people that watch sports television and also watch the game. Would you say that majority of us think that Tom Brady's the GOAT? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like that's official now. Yes.
Okay. All right. So everything you said, great. But here's the deal. This is why it all worked out. Those defenses, the reason why they were able to put them together is because Tom Brady took a pay cut. Right? And that's why this is a big deal. That's why there's a sour taste in Tom Brady's mouth when it comes to Bill Belichick, is because he's sitting there saying, yeah, Bill, you're great and I respect you. You drafted me and you also helped me develop. There's no doubt in my mind, or I'm not even questioning how great you are. But I gave you more resources to go put a team around ourselves. So give me credit for that. And the other thing is humility. So this whole Bill Belichick and Patriot thing, the Patriot way, the only reason why it worked is because Tom Brady sat in the front and he let Bill Belichick call him out when he threw 2 or 3 interceptions in the practice, 2 or 3 interceptions in a game. Because when you can call out the top guy, your number 1 guy, the greatest of all time, then that puts everyone else in line. So the Antonio Browns that comes in, the Gronkowskis that comes in, the Julian Edelmans, all these other pieces that you have in the locker room, they know if Tom Brady can take it, then I have to take it. So that's why all this worked out, and that's why it imploded in the end, is because Tom is like, man, I helped us get to 6 Super Bowls, and you're still calling me out. You're still not letting my trainer come into the facility and stretch me out and help me with pliability. Those are 2 issues. I took a pay cut year after year after year, and I sat in the front and let you call me out so this whole Patriot way can work.
And I don't think Brady wanted Belichick to stop calling him out. I just think he wanted him to show faith. And I think that is what I don't even want to call it bitterness, but that's the chip on the shoulder. Is Belichick looked at the only saving grace to my now clearly wrong for multi-year Tom Brady take is that Bill Belichick agreed with me. Bill Belichick looked at the data, looked at the trajectory, looked at the history of the position, and said, no, I am not tying myself to any 43-year-old quarterback. Don't care what he's accomplished. And Tom Brady felt, haven't I earned that? Haven't I earned the benefit of the doubt, not only through my play, but to Brandon's point, through my sacrifice, financial sacrifice, and ego sacrifice? You can't just step out on the limb with me, take a leap of faith that what I'm saying about playing till I'm 45 is right. Brady wanted Belichick to believe in him the way Brady believes in himself. Belichick wouldn't, so of course he has something to prove there, because Belichick clearly did not think he could do this.
Yeah, and Jenna, you'll appreciate this. Look, Tom Brady is pushing everything forward. Bill Belichick, rightfully so, is looking at the data that Nick just pointed out and saying, okay, well, this guy's about to hit a cliff and fall off the cliff. But what Tom Brady has done is said, hey, Bill, there's modern science, there's modern technology. No more do we have to rely on ice and stem and heat and stem to recover from injuries. So that is the problem. Tom Brady is telling everybody in the National Football League, everybody in the NBA, look, guys, there's a better way to take care of ourselves. There's a better way to eat.
Yeah, Bill Belichick not quite on board with modern technology. He's still cutting his own sleeves on sweatshirts. So he is like 5 years removed. Not to be lost in all the Super Bowl celebration.
New technology.
A rumor about Russell Wilson quietly making the rounds. You could sow. Wait till you hear this one, guys. This is going to be an interesting one. First things first, next. Hey, First Things First listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Back here talking Russell Wilson now, in the latest report that Russ has grown increasingly frustrated with the Seahawks' inability to protect him. I mean, he kind of does have a case, guys. He's been sacked 394 times the last 9 seasons, 69 more times than any other quarterback. It was also reported over the weekend that multiple teams have called to check on Russ's availability in a trade. Brandon, Russ is your guy. What do you make of all of this?
Woo! Jenna, Russell Wilson is beyond frustrated. I think Russell Wilson is trying to figure out how to believe. Like, Russ is a guy that's not concerned about, like, how you think about me and what do you think about me. He's really concerned about what type of legacy do I leave behind. He's trying to leave the legacy that he did things the right way so other guys can follow that same blueprint. So I think he struggles with how to move on in a classy way, in a way where people can look at him and say, you know what, he still did it the right way, because that's important for Russ. Here's the problem. The problem, and everybody's talking about it. You got Jason Lockenford talking about, they need to protect him. Well, they drafted one guy, one offensive lineman since they had Russell Wilson. They're always trying to figure out who's the steal out there in free agency, or who's the guy that, should have a bounce back year, and they never really go out there and solidify that offensive line. Now, a lot of people are like, well, Russell Wilson, you're holding on to the ball a little long. Well, Pete Carroll, The offense that you put in place is we're going to run on first, we're going to run on second, and if it's third and manageable, we're probably going to run on third down, and then we're going to take shots. I was there. We had no quick game. There wasn't an established game outside of Doug Baldwin, and then you had Tyler Lockett, where it was like you had an option route. You either break in or you break out. That was it. So Russell Wilson, if the deep ball's not there, of course he's going to hold on to the ball, definitely when you have that type of offensive line in front of you. So that is the problem. That's one of the problems. The other problem, as we know, is like, are we going to let Russ cook? Russ is the guy, Nick, as you know, he's going to scramble around. He's going to make plays happen. But at the end of the day, you need to decide if you believe in Russ to drop back and throw it 30, 40 times. And I don't think they believe in Russ. Well, actually, I know they don't believe in Russ because I was there. Every day before practice, I would sit there with the quarterbacks, with Coach Shoddy and Russell Wilson, and we would talk shop. And we would also do quarterback drills. I would actually be in the quarterback drills, like dropping back, 3-step drop, 5-step drop, 7-step drop. So I heard a lot of stuff. Well, this week, Pete wants us to run a little bit more. Oh, well, what about this? Can't we get into this a little sooner? Or what about our no-huddle offense? It's like, no, this is what Pete wants. So there's a huge philosophical difference there in Seattle.
But Brandon.
Now, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? I just want to ask you a question real quick about what you were saying. Because didn't it seem, though, to you that the first half of the year they tried to change that? The first half of the year, the whole story was they were finally letting Russ cook. Is his frustration that they went away from that? Or is his frustration that he didn't have the right ingredients in order to successfully cook all year long? Because they were a different style offense the first half of this season.
It comes down to what Pete Carroll wants, right? You got to think about it. Pete Carroll has been running the same defense for 10 years. We talked about this all year. I said, Nick, everybody in the league knows what's going to happen when you line up in a 3-by-1 on third and short. We got KJ Wright, who's going to come out and guard Tyreek Hill, that number 3 spot. He's going to run an over route. And you got speed versus a big. It's the same thing. Pete Carroll is a stubborn man. Pete Carroll's awesome. I love Pete Carroll. I can pick up the phone and probably call Pete Carroll and he probably answer. But at the end of the day, like, I got a job to do. And we know that Pete Carroll's stubborn. So when you look at the defensive side, same thing offensively. He's looking at what did we do to get to those Super Bowls? And that's what they did. They played good defense and they ran the ball. But you got a once-in-a-lifetime talent in Russell Wilson, a once-in-a-lifetime leader in Russell Wilson. You got to let him cook. LeBron James right now is shooting the ball like he's Ray Allen. He's shooting as if he's one of the greatest shooters the league has ever saw. So what happens if LeBron James had 3 or 4 bad games? Are we going to then go to LeBron and say, LeBron, go do what you've been doing? And that's what they did to Russell Wilson this year. Russell Wilson, they let him cook. He was doing a great job. And then all of a sudden, Nick, he started throwing a couple of picks. And then Pete Carroll, he got a little nervous, got a little anxious. And went back.
So this makes sense now. So it's a combination of the two. It's that you finally were letting me play a modernized offense. I had a bad month, and you immediately said, okay, rip that up. That didn't work. On top of the fact that the team is not doing a good enough job personnel-wise surrounding with pieces, most notably the offensive line. Okay, so I think that's the messaging as far as what's going on in Seattle. Wilds, the other piece of this, I think, for Russ, is we have to recognize Russ's experiences since entering the league and what he has seen, and I think we are seeing this across the NFL, is we are in the era of go for it. Not only go for it, you will be rewarded if you do. Russ's firsthand experience, guess what? The Seahawks were bold. They had just signed Matt Flynn. After 2 weeks of practices, they said, nope, we're going with Russell Wilson. He rewarded them with a championship. The Denver Broncos, we're okay. We have Tebow. We made the playoffs. Go sign Peyton Manning. They go to 2 Super Bowls. They win 1. Philly, we're okay. We're drafting, I think, 11th. Move up to number 2. Draft Carson Wentz. And during the year, acquire players at the trade deadline. You win a Super Bowl. The Chiefs, they had Alex Smith. They made the playoffs. Nope. Trade up, get Mahomes. They go to 2 Super Bowls. Tampa, Jameis Winston, what are we going to do? Go sign Tom Brady. In Russell Wilson's career, There are two types of teams that have shown up in the Super Bowl. The ones I listed and the damn Patriots. That's it. So he looks at it and says, what big move are we making? What move are we making?
Yeah.
What is the bold move we're making and I think it's why Aaron Rodgers is frustrated. He's like, man, look at the Rams. I don't know if it's going to work, but they are going for it. The Chiefs are going for it. The Bucs went for it. And I think Russ is frustrated by that, the offensive style notwithstanding. And Wild, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I want to get back to what Brandon said, because Brandon, you said that Russ is looking to move on in a classy way. So before we talk about sort of what Seattle can do, I want to look forward to, like, is Russ going to ask out? And you've made the point, you've been very consistent around the Harden trade. You're like, you know what? If you want to win, get out. And if it's got to be ugly, so be it.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about it, a week after you're with your new team. And it happened to AD. The New Orleans exit was ugly. Nobody cares. Got a ring. Happened to Harden. We're not talking about it. Happened with Brady. Not like Brady's thing was the most clean, beautiful thing in the world. But he's going to go to Foxborough, get a standing ovation, and Belichick does too. So are you saying that Russ is really wants to get out and is trying to not ruffle anybody's feathers?
No, I think Russ wants to stay there, but he knows that Pete Carroll's going to continue to give him the runaround. When it comes down to the offensive coordinator, did I really have a seat at the table? When it comes down to how we approach our offense, are you going to listen? When it comes to, building around the best player on our team, me, are you going to draft an offensive lineman, a center? Are you going to do those things? And I just think it's getting to a point where Russ just doesn't believe. Like I said, I was there and I was able to witness this firsthand. And I had to talk to Russ. You go back to the Legion of Boom and all those characters and all those different personalities that they had. What did they do? They cleaned house and they said, Russ, here you go. It's your team now. Lead us. That's what they did. So when I was there, Russ was actually entering into that phase of not being a leader, but I am the leader on this team. And I used to have to tell Russ, man, Russ would come to us and be like, guys, every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, I want to get the whole office together and I want to go through our entire game plan before the coaches do. I want you guys to hear it from me first, and I also want to get your thoughts. And we had a lot of pushback from guys that still had that old culture, that old way of thinking from the Legion of Boom days. And I would pull Russ to the side, and I'm like, Russ, we're in week 4, and you're a quarterback. How much money are you making? And who are you? You're one of the greatest teammates I've ever been around. I said, your position, you don't ask us what you want us to do. You tell us what you want us to do. And I think that's what he needs to do here, is tell Pete Carroll exactly what he needs and what he wants. And if the two can't come to a agreement, then it's time for Russ to move on. Yep. I'm hearing, Jenna, you have the Bears out there, you have the Miami Dolphins, you have the Las Vegas Raiders, and you also have the New Orleans Saints who've already made calls. So Pete Carroll, it's on you.
Wow,
Saints.
Brandon Marshall, quarterback whisperer. Lot of big names there. This is a topic that doesn't seem to be going away. Wiles is excited.
Pete.
All right, we're going to set
I love you.
AFC West.
Let's set that aside for a second.
They like Derek.
We got to hand out some NBA medals. He had Giannis and Jokic battling it out last night. Greek Freak, 30 points in a win. Joker and 35 in the loss. Both those guys, however, missing out on a medal. Nick, who we got today?
All right, bronze medalist, rookie alert, LaMelo Ball, 24, 7, and 10, and most impressively, the best plus-minus of any player in the league last night.
Fun
LaMelo Ball, me, Brandon, and Wilds. We went 3 for 3, rookie of the year pick. He's looking good. Silver medalist, Booker.
I picked Danny Ainge.
What? We all picked LaMelo Ball for rookie of the year, I thought.
I picked Ball.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Finish.
Devin Booker with the silver medal led the NBA in scoring last night. Gold medalist, someone who doesn't get talked about enough on this show. LeBron James. 28, 14, and 12. No Anthony Davis. Played 48 minutes in a double overtime game 2 days ago. Played 44 minutes in an overtime game yesterday. Doesn't matter. You can nap on the bench. So there it is. There's your medalist last night. Brandon, what was the whoa? They're trying to give you credit. You said LaMelo should have gone number 1.
Yeah, I said LaMelo. Did you say LaMelo?
I said he was my rookie of the year pick.
You said
I bet a lot of money on it.
You okay?
Okay.
You're
wrong.
Okay,
sir.
I'm just making it
How
short.
dare you?
He's going to break out his receipt if you don't believe him. Wilds.
Okay, that's
Give me a runner-up. Who missed the cut?
Oh, we have a few missed the cut. The double A. I thought you were going to call a foul here. Draymond, end of the game, gets the ball with 5 seconds left, puts up a beauty here. Oh, is that going to go in? No. Draymond's like, oh, I just barely missed it. To his credit, he thought that the Spurs were going to foul him and he would be able to go to the line. Actually, a smart play. And then after the game, Steve Kerr's like, yeah, by the way, I should have told you, Spurs don't foul in that situation. Popovich doesn't like that. They've actually cost him a few games. The other one, John Morant. It's like, oh, thought I was going to get a foul here, but this one ends up going in. So you know what? You win some, you lose some.
That's
Jenna.
nice.
Both terrible looking shots.
That looks like Draymond's regular form.
Back to the Super Bowl now, and newly crowned champion Ronald Jones is going to join us coming up. This is First Things First.
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness, or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
The 2021 NASCAR season getting underway in just 5 days with the Great American Race. It is the Daytona 500. Sunday, only on Fox. All right, guys, with Super Bowl 55 closing the books on the 2020 season, time for our Drawing a Blank 2021 NFL Preview Edition. Never too early to look ahead. Let's start with the MVP, newly engaged. Aaron Rodgers taking home the award for the third time this season. I'm all over that story. But Brandon, your way too early prediction for 2021 NFL MVP is blank.
Ooh, we just talked about him, Russell Wilson. He should have had it this year, but something happened halfway through the year. Russ, don't throw no dang on picks. If you stay in Seattle, get it done. If you go somewhere else, get it done. Whether it's, the Miami Dolphins, the Saints, Las Vegas Raiders, who else? The Chicago Bears. I don't care where this guy, where he straps it up, he's going to be the MVP. He gets it done. He finishes the task at hand.
All right, 2 points of order here. One, declaration on behalf of the show. These are not official predictions or picks. That's why it says way too early. All right, America, they're not because there's a lot of takes going to be thrown out here. These are, as Kevin Wildes once would say, half-baked ideas. These are half-baked takes. Okay. Second declaration. My obvious answer is Patrick Mahomes, but the audience wants to hear a different answer. So, non-Patrick Mahomes category. Deshaun Watson for a team different than Houston. Most notably for the Niners and Kyle Shanahan. So Deshaun Watson gets his wish. He goes to San Francisco, wins an MVP there. That's my way too early non-Mahomes.
What about the Jets, Nick?
Prediction. Yeah, well, then he's not going to win the MVP. Then he's in the same position he's in right now. Not great. Yeah, not the Jets.
Terrible team. Okay. Take of the year. Right, well. Although Nick is trying to downplay these takes, this is actually the take of the year. These 50 sports writers who vote on the NFL MVP are at their heart storytellers. And what was the story of this year? It was one Tom Brady. If they could vote again, it's obvious Tom Brady is MVP. But here's the take of the year. The aging take. Aging sports writers, we're all getting old. There's a narrative out there already. Who should be NBA MVP? Well, it's LeBron James. He's old. He's leading his team. If LeBron wins MVP, Tom Brady wins MVP next year. Take of the year.
Boom. Drop it. Silent. Camera stays on you. On to Josh Allen now. Josh Allen broke out in year 3 as he carried the Bills to the AFC title for the first time in 25 years. The AFC Championship. Who will follow in his footsteps? Brandon, your way too early prediction for a breakout player in 2021 is blank. Breakout player.
Breakout.
Yeah, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. Look, he won his nasty debut against a nasty Saints defense. All right, that was a really good defense. And then he followed that up going against the Cardinals with 4 touchdowns, 3 passing and 1 rushing. So I'm going with Jalen Hurts. No more Carson Wentz. We're hearing it can happen any minute now. Let's see what happens with Carson and Jalen.
Multi-layered prediction with my next one. Next year, when you ask Brandon Marshall who his top 5 receivers are, and he lists 13 guys, one of the guys he will list is Robert Woods. Robert Woods,
So
finally
true.
with a quarterback with life-size hands, teaming up with Matt Stafford. Sean McVay opening things up. We've seen Robert Woods have 1,000-yard seasons with golf. I think he could have a 1,400-yard season with Matt Stafford. So Robert Woods breaking onto the scene next year. Brandon Marshall's going to be like, you know who we don't talk about enough? Robert Woods. Why don't we talk about as a top 5 receiver? Here's 11 other receivers I talk about more as top 5 receivers. I can see it coming. Week 6 next year, Wilds.
All right, I'm going with Justin Herbert, who I'm describing as the Bitcoin of NFL quarterbacks. Why? Because like, of course you've heard about it, but like, what's the ceiling? Oh, is the ceiling 40 grand? Is the ceiling 100 grand? Is the ceiling 250 grand? Me and Dusty were trying to find like comparable rookie stats, and Dusty's like, I don't know what you want me to do, Wilds. There are no rookie comparisons. He was so good. So Justin Herbert, I know everyone thinks he already broke out. I think he's just going to be much, much better than everybody realizes next year.
I like
All
that.
right, mark it down, Justin Herbert. Hey, guys, Bucs back. Ronald Jones played a big part in Sunday's Super Bowl win, helped that offense score not 1, 2, or 3, but 4 touchdowns. Fresh off that first ring, Ronald Jones joining us this morning. Ronald, good morning. Congratulations. I have to imagine it has been an absolute whirlwind for you the last 24 hours or so. How you feeling after that win? Let's start there.
I'm feeling great, on top of the world, literally. So, just blessed to be here.
Woo! RJ, absolutely love it. Look, before the year started, Phil Simms was like, yo, you got to watch out for this kid. He's phenomenal. And you proved him right all year. I know you didn't get as many carries as you wanted, but you were electric and you definitely took off. I got a question for you. I miss those meetings, those install meetings, all right? I know you guys had 2 weeks to prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs, but talk to me about the keys to victory. So when you guys sat in those Wednesdays meetings and you start installing 1st and 2nd down, then you went to 3rd down, you went to red zone, what did you guys see as opportunities, areas of opportunities to beat these guys?
Yeah, Coach has just talked all week about, how we wanted to establish the run and, stay balanced the whole game. So I think we got a good mix of that in. And, defense obviously played a great part too. We could hold the team to no touchdowns. It's going to make our job a lot easier.
All right, Ronald, I got 2 questions for you. Similar topic. First one is this. What happened between Brady and Honey Badger? Brady has since written him a letter. What happened? You're out there. Tell us.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that one, but apparently, they got through the crossroads. He sent them a text or whatever, so that's that. But guys, they both lion-hearted out there, so yeah, it's no telling.
All right, so the follow-up there, since you won't tell us the truth on that one, just total lies. You obviously know, but that's fine. I understand. When was the first time, either in practice or in a game, you saw that streak in Brady? That fiery, because you don't see it publicly very often. When's the first time you saw it as a teammate?
Yeah, I saw it, in the summer when we got together at Berkeley Prep High School and was throwing passes there. He was, already in playoff mode and things like that. You just be around him, you can't help but be great as well.
Ronald, I heard 2 stories after the game. One was that no one believed in you, that the defense thought, like, I can't believe we're underdogs. We just went through Aaron Rodgers. We went through Drew Brees. Why are we underdogs? Then the other story was that Tom Brady is sending everybody text messages saying we will win, and that he put in sort of this like confidence in everyone. So when you went into that game, was it a level of confidence like we can beat this team, or you're like, no, we're the underdogs, we're going to prove everybody wrong?
Yeah, it wasn't even that. We didn't think we was underdogs. We believed we was going to win the entire time. So as long as we went out there and execute like we did, we knew everything would come together.
Ronald, we hear so many stories about Tom Brady that it's almost like myth, like how early he gets in, how much tape he watches, how he really gathers the guys. He only eats a certain kind of ice cream. It's made with avocado. He bathes in kale. Whatever the stories are, it's gotten to the point where I don't know what's true and what's not true anymore. Just give me a little insight into how uber focused he is, how zoned in he is to his commitment to you guys, to his teammates, and obviously to winning.
Yeah, you can just tell he has a natural leadership mentality. He's very passionate about the game. And so when he's out there, whether it's at practice or in the game, you just know every moment, you give him a chance, you just do your job. That's what he always says, 11 right. So things like that just keep us going.
Look, man, the dude is 43 years of age, man. He should be, with his grandkids right now. All right. One of the things that I said is, Monday through Friday is when he makes, the team better. Everybody in the building. You don't pay Tom Brady for Sunday, right? That's not the guy, is going to come in and throw for 350 yards, 400 yards, year after year after year. I'm one of those guys, RJ, that was lean on the run, and that's going to open up everything else for the offense, and it's going to make his job easier. So I guess what I'm saying here, what I'm asking is, how did Tom Brady elevate your game? Because one of the things I've been saying is when he walks in the building, he makes everyone better because of who he is. The grounds crew, the coaches, the owners, the players, everybody. So how did he specifically make your game better and help elevate you?
But yeah, I think just, working with him in the summer, coming in tip-top condition, things like that. And I definitely agree with you, with the run, being able to open up the pass and complementary our game. So, I think, just all that passion and all the drive, he still has, at this age, like you said, the second to none, obviously the greatest. So I'm glad to be a part of the journey.
Where are you, and are you wearing the same clothes from Sunday night? It seems like you have that same hat, the same shirt on. Where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm in downtown Tampa, sunny Florida. Got the palm sheets right. Life is good. The air's a little different around here, so I'm just enjoying the moment.
Awesome,
Ronald,
man. Great year, brother.
I want to ask, because you guys are champions, so everything, obviously, you look back and you say every decision was the right decision. But Brandon mentioned coming into the year, you were coming off an excellent year, and Phil Simms, other people were talking about you as one of the guys we don't talk about enough, right? Ronald Jones should get more love. When they signed Leonard Fournette, it worked out great, and you guys had a great, you guys dual role. In the moment that it happened, were you a little, wait, what's going on here? How did that land with you, even though now it all worked out for the best for everyone?
Yeah, definitely. It just motivated me to go harder, just determined, we knew what we wanted to accomplish, and I think, we're the best 1-2 punch in the league. So, being out there with a guy like that, definitely a compliment to the team. And like you said, you saw what we did together. So I think it's a good thing we got it going.
We obviously, we talked to you a lot about Tom Brady sorry, Brandon, just to follow up just real quick on that. We talked a lot about Tom Brady, but Brady wasn't the only win now move you guys made. You guys traded up in the draft. You brought in Gronk. You bring in Antonio Brown. You signed Fournette. What sense in the locker room, as far as how it had been in the past, did you guys have? Wait, we're not just trying to squeak into the playoffs, have a winning record. Did you guys have the sense throughout the entire year, the entire organization, from Light, the GM, on down, is setting the standard of, we're going to give you the pieces to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I'd agree. I said the standard, was set for excellence. Being around all these guys, and knowing what they've done in their careers, like LaShawn McCoy and things, being able to learn from those guys and add it to my game, I think it just elevated the team, like you said. So, a whole bunch of moves, obviously worked out for the greater.
All right, here we go. Byron Leftwich, does he get enough credit? We talk about Tom Brady, we talk about Bruce Arians, and even at the beginning of the year, it was this back and forth. Whose offense is it? Tell me about Byron Leftwich, and do you think he gets enough credit?
Yeah, I think, Coach Leftwich does a great job, and he does really good at, highlighting what players do well, and getting them in positions to succeed. So, I think he should definitely get more credit on that offense, kind of, in the backwards or whatever. But, drawing those plays up, and when he gives us the opportunity, we make the most of it.
Ronald, you had a few of those games where the play calling felt a little bit unbalanced. Like, I think the team had 5 carries one game. Then you broke off this 98-yard run against the Panthers. Do you feel, I'll tell you how I felt, and you can react to it. I felt give him the ball. It's like let Russ cook, except let Ronald Jones cook. He can break off, you're just trying to get out of the end zone, you break this for a touchdown. Do you feel and I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but that you have the opportunity, if you can break more big runs like this, if you get the ball a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I've always been a home run threat, home run hitter, ever since, the high school days and things like that. So, when I get into a foot race, you got a window. So, I look forward to more of those opportunities too. So, that'd be good.
A lot of talk about next year. We got to do it to you. I know you want to celebrate, but should you guys be the favorites?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Hands down.
Yeah. Well,
Can
give
you
me a little
imagine
bit.
if it was
Don't just say definitely, hands down.
Hey.
I mean, come on. You don't just say, yeah. Come on. I need a little bit more. Why? Y'all losing AB potentially, Gronk, Shaq Barrett. There's a few guys that y'all need to bring back.
Yeah, I think those guys are coming back. Why would you break apart the core now? So, the front office is going to do a great job getting these guys back, and defense strong. As long as we got Tom, in these guys, I think we'll be in the hunt again.
That's what it is. Hey, before you go, Ronald, tell us a little bit about your partnership with Michelob Ultra.
Oh yeah. So a lot of the ways that we get joy and love away from the game, playing dominoes on the flights home back from championships. I remember in the locker room, everybody was happy, joy, just kicking it, swimming out here in Florida and things like that, just bring you joy to life. So that's why I'm proud to be a partner.
Send me a pack.
Hey, Ronald, thank you. Thank you. He wants a pack. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Enjoy the win. Enjoy the off season, and congratulations again. We appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a break. We'll talk about whether those Bucs could actually return to the Super Bowl next season. That is next. This is First Things First.
Well, you heard the man. He said, yeah.
Black History Month is our time to reflect on our black heroes, but I'd be remiss if I tried to single out just one, because there are so many black heroes over the course of history, particularly in sports. Whether Jesse Owens, Muhammad Ali, Serena Williams, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and so many more, it's too hard to focus on one, so instead I acknowledge all of the achievements by so many black individuals and the collection of black people and black athletes as a whole.
Powerful, truthful words from our colleague Emmanuel Acho. Hey guys, we got to talk about Carson Wentz. It seemed like when the Eagles moved on from Doug Pederson, they were sticking with Wentz, but the latest report says, not so much. Wentz reportedly on the trade block with the Bears and the Colts as strong contenders. Brian Westbrook, good morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. You spent 8 years in Philadelphia. Are you surprised the Eagles are expected to trade Wentz after seemingly choosing him over Doug Pederson?
Good morning, Jenna. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. It just seems as though Carson Wentz has pushed the Philadelphia Eagles completely into a corner. He hasn't made any public comments since his benching earlier in the season. He did not make any public comments when Nick Sirianni was named the head coach. And now you have to wonder, is there a bigger issue? And quite honestly, I think the bigger issue is Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is responsible for drafting guys, putting better players around Carson Wentz. And you can say what you want. There just hasn't been a bunch of talent that has worked out for them as far as in the draft. And then you ought to mention that Jalen Hurts was drafted in the second round last year, something that seemingly has pushed Carson Wentz over the edge as far as the organization. So Howie Roseman still being there is the biggest issue, it seems, for Carson Wentz. And you also have to figure this thing. The Philadelphia Eagles, as they move forward, they're willing to take the biggest dead money cap hit in the history of the NFL, $34 million. And Brandon, the question to me is even bigger than that. Is Jalen Hurts the answer? Do you feel that he's the answer moving forward? Because if he's not the answer, and you don't feel comfortable with him as the answer, now with the 6th pick in the draft and Justin Fields happens to drop, now you have to ask yourself, are we willing to draft a quarterback in that position with the 6th pick? That's a big question. This organization has a long way to go to get there, but they have to figure some things out quickly. Right. And the first part is probably trading Carson Wentz.
Yeah, look, so I'm not surprised, but I want to get there a little later. And I'm not trying to hijack this discussion. When the first thing that came up for me when I saw the question was Deshaun Watson. Now, to me, it's like there's a systemic issue here. And it comes down to how the NFL wants to set the precedent. Deshaun Watson is out there saying, I want to move on. I don't believe in this organization. There's some real problems here. Matthew Stafford, rumblings coming out week 14, week 15. Matthew Stafford wants out. Matthew Stafford got out right after the season. When he was able to get out, he got out. He's going to L.A. Then you look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, are we taking coach or are we taking the quarterback? They chose the quarterback. Then the quarterback said, I don't want you. I want out. And then all of a sudden, a week before the Super Bowl, we start hearing reports, Carson Wentz can be traded in days. And now it's down to minutes. And now we're seeing reports coming out of Houston saying they are refusing to take people's calls. They're holding on to Deshaun. So what is the precedent here? What is the issue here? It seems to me like there's this power play. Deshaun Watson, you want out, but we like you as the player. We're going to keep you here. Brett Favre comes out and Brett Favre says, you know what? You're getting paid. Just be quiet and just do your job. Where's Brett Favre now? Nick, that's something that you talked about off camera, in our production meeting. So it seems like the precedent has been set, but we're playing different sides of the fence. Am I surprised? I'm absolutely not surprised. You go back to the Philly voice 2 years ago, and there's a couple things that they talked about. He's selfish, uncompromising, and he's playing favorites. That's absolutely true. I was still playing in the National Football League when this stuff was happening, and I had buddies on that team, on the defensive side, the offensive side, and that was some of the things that they talked about. So I'm not surprised that he won out. We can highlight some of the things on the field. We can correct that. But what you can't correct is, are you relatable in the locker room? Do guys want to play for you? Do that whole playing favorites thing? That can divide a team. That can divide an offense. So Carson Wentz, there's no doubt in my mind the type of person he is, that he can get the job done if he gets a fresh start somewhere else. But he has to lean into, how do I become a better leader, and how do I meet people where they're at and lead all, and not just my guys here or there. But I like Carson Wentz, but there's some work he needs to do to take it to a whole nother level, Nick.
So, Brandon, there's a lot there. So let me try to, in a little scattershot, address it all. Clearly and obviously, the way certain media and certain former players react to what is called a trade demand, or if it's called a trade request, has to do with a lot of things that it should have nothing to do with. The fact that Carson Wentz gets to request a trade and Deshaun Watson is demanding a trade and holding the franchise hostage and is told to shut up and play, that is a bigger issue, but it's almost separate from this specific issue, if you will. I think what hurts Deshaun, in addition to who you want to give power to, is Deshaun's too good for his own good. I think Deshaun is such a great player. The Texans are hesitant that you could ever come up with a package good enough for him. So there's that part of it. The other part that's going on with the Wentz thing is this nonsense that he could be traded for 2 first-round picks. The chances of that are 0%. It is the same chances of whatever team that trades for him signing Brian Westbrook to be his running back. This might sound like a decent idea. It ain't happening. There's no chance.
A great idea to
In
me.
fact, I would rather have Brian Westbrook as my starting running back in 2021 than give up 2 first-round picks for Carson Wentz. So that's not going to happen. The idea, well, Stafford, there was 2 first-round picks in golf. It's insanity.
4 plays. That's
it's total abject insanity. Now, the question that I have, and I want to throw it back to Brian, is this. If you trade for Carson Wentz, who are you getting? Because I want to show you something. Everyone talks about the MVP year when he didn't even win MVP. Carson Wentz, he's the memorial MVP winner that never won an MVP. He and Russell Wilson, the memorial, I've never gotten an MVP vote, can all maybe commiserate together. But show me Carson Wentz's numbers that year, and then show me everything else he's done in his career. It's one magical season, and then the rest of the career. And folks believe that magical season is duplicable. Well, can we show another Philly quarterback who once upon a time had a magical season? Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the career looks pretty damn mediocre. Brian, what do you think is the outlier? Do you think the outlier is the MVP level play? Or the outlier is, because he wasn't bad in 18 and 19, he just wasn't MVP level.
No.
Is the outlier the near MVP? Or is the outlier the horrid season we just saw?
Well, I think if you're a team that's willing to trade for Carson Wentz, you have to believe that this past season 2020 was the outlier, and what you have to correct when he comes into your system is, one, his fundamentals. You have to be able to change his fundamentals, change his mechanics back to their much shorter throwing motion, get his footwork together. And in order to do all those things, you have to change him mentally. He has to be able to accept coaching. That's one of the big excuses that they've had and reasons in Philadelphia that some of the players on that team didn't find comfort in Carson Wentz, because he wasn't willing to accept coaching and was very belligerent about saying, I'm going to be right, and pushing back with some of the things that the coaches were trying to do. As a franchise guy, of course, we want you to be successful, but you have to be coached very well. And that means he has to get his footwork, his mechanics, his fundamentals back. And that's the type of quarterback that can go out there and be close to an MVP candidate that he was in 2017. If he doesn't and is not willing to correct those things, then he won't be even close to that guy, which he hasn't been since 2017.
There you go, B. And Tom Brady showed us this year that talent only takes you so far. Tom Brady didn't lead this team to a Super Bowl and win Super Bowl 55 because Tom Brady is the same quarterback 20 years ago physically. Tom Brady led this team off of his leadership. He led his team off of being able to not be selfish and uncompromising and playing favorites. You go back to that Philly voice. So everything you said is spot on. That's where you need to thrive as a quarterback. Talent only takes you so far. If he can lean into this, and he's more than capable of doing it, then he could get back to the MVP level. But if guys in the locker room don't like you, if guys in the locker room don't want to play with you, then you're going to have the same exact season that you had this year, 100%. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. Talent only takes you so far, Jenna.
All right, Brandon. Well, speaking of quarterbacks who have played for one team and are rumored to be traded, is Russell Wilson on that list? We spin the mill next. First things first.
Woo!
The 2021 NASCAR season, guys, starts in just 5 days. You got the Great American Race. It is the Daytona 500 this Sunday, only on Fox. I'm going to watch Days of Thunder to get myself all jacked up for the race. Time now for stories to start your morning, brought to you by Subway. Fresh off ring number 7, in an article just released by SI, Bruce Arians was quoted from before the Super Bowl, giving us a little insight into what motivated his quarterback, Tom Brady. He said, quote, Tom is playing for his teammates right now. He wants those guys to experience what he's experienced 6 times. I think personally, too, he's making a statement. You know, it wasn't all Coach Belichick. Wow. All right, Brandon, are you buying Bruce Arians' comments, especially dropping Belichick in there?
Oh, 100%. I truly believe that. But I think the motivation just comes from, Tom understanding what he deserves, like a sense of entitlement. Most players have a sense of entitlement. When you pull up to the facility, that's Tom's spot. Don't park there. You can't park there. When you walk in the facility, you're like, why did Tom get 2 lockers? Well, he got 2 lockers because he can put extra things in there, and he wants to be in this corner of the locker room because it's closer to the bathroom and it's away from media. It's the easiest out. We go to the chefs. The chefs know this isn't on the menu, but this is what Tom wants. So we're going to make sure Tom has this every day at 8:30. So why am I talking about a sense of entitlement? Well, you helped lead this organization to 9 Super Bowls and you won 6, and then you get pushed out. So I think this is a big deal. I think this is all Bill Belichick's fault because there's some players that you let work themselves out, out of the organization. And they're like, you know what? You punch your own ticket out of this town. And Tom Brady didn't get an opportunity to do that. Tom Brady is a guy that's probably looking at this like, well, I know you did this and built this whole Patriots way, but it was because of me that helped us get to the next level and get over the hump. So Tom is like, I deserve a seat at the table. Why do you have more power than me? So I think the real motivation comes from that sense of entitlement and him not getting what he felt he deserved in New England.
Yeah. And he's always looking for motivation. When he comes into the league, the motivation is I was the 199th pick, and he famously knows all the quarterbacks who were drafted ahead of him. Then after he wins Super Bowls, there's a rivalry with Peyton Manning that clearly fueled him. We know that from that email exchange that got leaked with his dad late into his career. Then he's chasing Joe Montana. Then he's trying to beat Father Time, who everyone says is undefeated. And now he has the extra Belichick motivation of this guy gave up on me. This guy thought I was like everyone else. This guy thought that I was another guy. He was maybe going to move on from a year early rather than a year late because I was at the end. And where I defend Brady on this is he had every right to be furious. Wilds, I got a question for you, man. Because if people don't know this, before Wilds was America's favorite television personality, he was a bougie television executive. He wore two-tone shirts and cufflinks, and the hair looked the same, and he managed talent. It's all true. I've seen the pictures. Wilds, what are the 2 things you can give an employee to feel better about their status at your job? There's one of 2 things you can give someone to make them feel important at work. What are they?
Lunch
well, I would say money, compensation would be one. And then I would say
and power is the other, right?
Sure, there we go. Power, there we go.
Money or power?
Sure.
Pay me
it's a lock
or give me a seat at the table.
Jadakiss said it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought you'd get it, because I know you're a big Jadakiss fan. I thought I'd walk you right into it. Either pay me or respect me. Money, power, respect, right? Belichick didn't want to give him any at the end. Didn't want to give him any. Didn't want to give him money. Certainly didn't want to give him power, and wouldn't even give him the respect of a cursory extension that would allow him to reach his stated on the record only individual goal we've ever heard him talk about. I want to play till I'm 45. So of course he put his house on the market. Of course he wanted to leave because Belichick, he feels, forced his hand. So Wilds, of course, part of this is not just I'm going to prove how valuable I was for those first 6 Super Bowls, but I'm going to prove that you were wrong. I'm going to prove that the biggest mistake you've ever made is related to the best decision you ever made. Best decision you ever made was believing in me and keeping Bledsoe on the bench. And the worst decision you ever made was when you stopped believing in me and you said, I can't have an extension when I'm 42 years old.
All right. Remember how you were like lawyerly earlier in the show? I will try to be Bill Belichick's defense attorney. So here it goes. 1, about like Tom Brady getting a say. Tom Brady wanted more weapons in his last year in New England. And at one point, Bill Belichick gritted his teeth and signed Antonio Brown. And we drafted N'Keal Harry in the first round. We traded draft picks for Mohamed Sanu when it didn't work out and had Josh Gordon. It's like, wow, look at this squad. And I'm even talking about Hall of Famer Julian Edelman, who was still there. So there were, like, the guy tried. But there's a part of me, to Belichick's defense, Brandon, who has a responsibility to look at all three phases of the game. And if I was Bill Belichick, and I'm sure he never did this, but I felt like it was unspoken, said like, hey, buddy, you know what? Every time you win a ring, two things happen. Either we have one of the best defenses or the defense plays amazing in the Super Bowl. Greatest show on turf, we shut them down. The second ring, we had the #1 defense. Your third ring, we had the #2 defense. Your fourth ring, Malcolm Butler comes up with the big stop. Your fifth ring, you did a good job. You came back with the Falcons, but we also had the #1 defense to get us there. Your sixth ring, the lowest scoring Super Bowl of all time. McVay didn't score a touchdown. And your seventh ring, we shut down Patrick Mahomes. And Tom Brady's like, what are you talking about? That was Todd Bowles. Like, no, I'm still responsible for it. I run everything in the NFL. That's why I have cameras everywhere. Right. So I feel like Tom Brady, sure, he can be motivated, Brandon. I totally get it. But I feel like it's a shot at Bill Belichick to just, now the pendulum has swung too far and be like, it's all Tom Brady. The knives are out for Belichick a little too sharp, I think.
See, that's why I agree with Nick, is because it comes down to power. It comes down to respect. Why? Because we're talking about the Patriot way. Bill Belichick came in and established the Patriot way. He's the one that had the vision. He's the one that drafted Tom Brady and believed in him and helped develop Tom Brady. But why did the Patriot way thrive? Why did it work? Because all those guys on the defensive side, Tom Brady took a pay cut. Come on, let's talk about it. Now,
That's
people
fair.
are like, oh, on the back end, he made this, he made that. But Tom Brady didn't always, when did Tom Brady, when did he ever get an opportunity to say, I'm the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League? Let's talk about that. And then the second thing, he sat in the front row and let Bill Belichick say, you know what, Tom Brady, this is a piss poor effort. You just threw 2-3 picks in practice. We're talking about this guy coming off 3-4 Super Bowls and still being called out in the front of the meetings, in front of the team. And why is that important? Because if you're able to call out the star player and treat the Kawhi Leonards of the world this way, the LeBron Jameses of the world this way, then everybody else have to fall in line. And that's why the Patriot way thrived. Bill Belichick built it, but Tom Brady took it to a whole nother level, Nick.
That's right. And the only thing you said that I would take issue with is it's tough to find those moments for LeBron because he so rarely makes a mistake. But in general, the point's right. You can find a bunch with the Kawhi. But here's the thing, that he was coached hard. And Brady wasn't mad that he wasn't making $40 million a year. Brady was mad about two things. One is, you might think it's pseudoscience or make-believe, but I have a way that I think I have learned to defeat aging. And I am doing it with a partner, and I want him around as much as possible. And things got sideways with the Patriots and Alex Guerrero, and they kicked him out of his office, and they started essentially punishing teammates that went to see Guerrero. That was the first thing. I think Brady would have been able to get over that if in the summer of 2019, and Wilds, you know this as well as anyone, what had Brady done leading up to that? 2016, he went 11-1. He had to miss 4 games because of the little cheating thing. Leads the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. 2017 wins league MVP, makes the Super Bowl. 2018 doesn't play great in the Super Bowl, but they win the Super Bowl. Those were his preceding 3 years. That summer, he said, I want a 2-year extension. And Bill said no. That is what salted the earth. He signed the fake extension on August 5th and put his house for sale on August 6th. So I understand he put his house for sale. He put his house for sale because Belichick said, I think, you know what? I've been watching Nick Wright. He makes a lot of good points.
It's just total disrespect everywhere,
I think you're on the
Nick.
way down. And it was disrespect.
Nick.
Right. It was disrespect.
Did you watch Tom versus Time? Did you watch that? Remember when before the game and he was getting treatment? Where was he getting? Where was he getting treatment? Yeah. He was getting treatment in the stadium in the box. Because he didn't have access. Alex didn't have access to the locker room anymore. That's total disrespect. Right. This is a guy who's led you to how many Super Bowls, and you won't let the guy who works on his body every single day in the locker room? That's an issue. And this is a universal thing, okay? And we can talk about this forever. I know we got to go, but it's a universal thing. You got to let the superstar guys bring in their people who works on their body. That's what that's all I got to say.
Brandon's getting a massage right
Tom Brady
now.
Brought in a
he
Super
just can't
Bowl
see
ring.
it. FS1 allows it.
We got to go. The conversation
Right now.
continues on Undisputed. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.